Hello and welcome to another Talk About Games.
How's it going?
How's it going? I'm Ryan.
I'm Mike. And a long time ago, we did a video about this guy here. This is my analog NT, which is a very cool system because I like to play my retro games on retro television sets. Now, everybody doesn't feel the same way as I do, and that's fine. That's fine. But what was cool about this is it had RGB, component, S-video, composite, and all these different outputs. And but this is, I'm just feeling the weight of this. This thing is heavy. And so anyway, they have a new device.
I got contacted by Analog, and Analog said, the Analog Pocket is coming out. Would you like to have a review copy? Mm-hmm. And I was like, boy, would I ever.
It has options to where, you can make it look black and white, but you can also actually make it look green, and it has all these sort of color options that's pretty neat.
If you don't have the original console, and you don't have all of that stuff, how do you play games authentic?
I want to jump back in time a little bit. A lot of technology has come out over the last 10 years or so, and things are different now.
Clone consoles sucked. Emulation sucked. We have two problems, right? We have modern TVs that make our retro games look like shit.
Yeah.
We have upscalers and things that introduce lag, that introduce problems. We want our experience to be authentic, right? What's the other way to go? And for a while, the answer was have a poor experience.
But for a while, there was those shitty...
And how do they do it? They say, well, we can't use emulation because emulation is going to introduce problems with everything. So what do we need to do?
Well,
we need to physically emulate the circuit in the hardware. We need the cartridge, when it's plugged into that circuit, to not know the difference. So what do we need? We need an FPGA.
Sure.
We don't need a programmer, although programmers are involved. We need an electrical engineer, someone who understands at the electronic level what an NES was, the path that the electrons took in that board. It has to be as close to that as possible.
So in our old video that we did, there was a line that Ryan said, something about electrons moving through reality, and it became a bit of a meme.
And the reason why is because we live in an imperfect physical universe. All the idiosyncrasies, electrons move through reality. You're not going to be able to emulate everything the electrons are doing in software.
Like, haha, electrons move through reality, Ryan. Sure, right? So I'm not a tech guy. I know some tech stuff, but I don't, but I don't even honestly understand what people, what the problem with the statement was. Because honestly, when you said that, I was just kind of over my head. I was just like, I actually don't know what you're talking about. And
which is no emulation. What does that mean? No emulation. Does that mean that there's actually a Game Boy in here? The answer is no, but the answer is also kind of yes. So there's a chip in here, FPGA. FPGA stands for Field Programmable Gate Array.
Okay.
Computers are made up of logic gates, basically circuits that do math. Is this value true or false? Is this yes or no, up or down? And you string those gates together and you start having a physical program.
a program that is built from the flow of electricity.
Okay.
Okay? And as those circuits get more and more complicated, they form things like computers. Things that can compute things like, now imagine if instead of that circuit always being the same, I could run software to make a circuit change its physical form. Okay? So sometimes it adds things together. Oh, well, this version subtracts things. Oh, this version does something different.
Okay.
Now imagine if that got more and more complicated. Well, field programmable gate arrays have gotten bigger and bigger and had more gates.
I always wish on the DS that they would release a Baby Pac-Man, because Baby Pac-Man was pinball.
Yeah.
And it was the game, so that they could do both.
So I want to get back to this.
Yeah.
You know, so this screen has 10 times the resolution.
I got to mention another thing about this before, because I want to make sure we talk about it. So there's also a thing called the DAC. When I play Game Boy, I like to play on a television, because why would I want to play on a smaller screen? It's easy to do.
If I have a bunch of all different CRTs that are different sizes and all that, where's it going to go?
Yeah.
This device could reconfigure itself to be all of those things.
Right. Ryan, for the first time, had introduced me to Bomberman.
Yeah.
Remember when we did that?
Oh, wasn't that cool?
And you got all the fucking things, right?
Yeah.
All those, like...
I was going through my basement. And
I gotta say something. Once in a while, Ryan goes to me. He's like, "Yo, Mike, I think I'm gonna sell all my games." Don't sell your fucking games.
Okay.
Don't sell your games, because you're gonna regret it. You'll regret it.
I probably will. At the circuitry level.
Right. I gotta ask you a question. So, so you said all those things, but I have not come to terms with this yet. So. Electrons move through reality. I still don't understand what that means. Everything you said, I think I understand what you said, but what does that exactly mean?
So the everything's happening in the software. It has no relationship to the chip. So it has no relationship. The path that the electricity flows through the piece of hardware.
Okay.
Because of the speed of light. The reality, the rules of physics.
When you say reality, do you mean
like physics?
Do you mean the electrons are moving through the air?
What I meant by that is the rules of physics apply.
Okay.
Well, this isn't something that's happening in our mind. This isn't something that's happening in software. This isn't something that's happening at this higher level.
Okay.
This is something that's happening down at the bare metal, down at the actual like electrical engineering.
Okay.
So the FPGA, when those gates program themselves, it's actually a physical activity. It's the path that the energy takes through the chip is actually changing.
Right. Now, when people took that comment and they sort of ran with it, what do you think somebody's problem with that comment would be? Looking at it from an outside perspective, I don't quite understand. But I didn't think of that statement and be like,
"What an idiot! What an idiot!
It didn't mean anything.
Why would he possibly say that?"
So it's interesting to me that there was several several in the YouTube comments or whatever to be like, "Ha ha! The electrons move through reality, right, Ryan?" I wonder why that was such a thing.
Well,
what do you think?
I mean, I think it's a combination of things. I think number one, I think many of the people in the comments sucked. A number of people in the comments felt like it was too expensive. It's a luxury item. We were lucky we got sent one, but right. So that's why I felt so strongly about it, because I wanted people to understand the nerdy tech. It's like, no, this is different than emulation. And look at all the emulation problems we've had. Look at Switch Online.
Hey Johnny, my score is this.
The PP works.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So that's it. I think that finally wraps up my thoughts on all these mini consoles. I'm glad to sort of. I feel like I've finally I've sort of closed the chapter. And who knew, back then that would have yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to try. My take home from this is, this sits next to my bed. I'm going to try the Analog Pocket for a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm my AGS 101. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. Thank you so much for tuning into another Talk About Games. Make sure to like it, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.